After working in coaching with 14,151 parents, I found three big qualities of an emotionally mature parent, and I'm going to share them with you. And by the way, these emotionally mature parents were one day not feeling confident in their parenting. They were one day feeling overwhelmed. They were one day having a lot of power struggles with their kids. And once they got a clear roadmap and direct guidance, they became these emotionally mature parents. And I'm going to share with you these three traits that all of them shared so you can get there as well. Hello, my name is Marcela Collier. I am the head coach of HIC Parenting Education Agency, and you are listening to another episode of the Parenting with Understanding podcast. The Parenting with Understanding podcast has the mission to give you the insight and the tools to bring peace to your parenting, break free from reactivity, and raise emotionally healthy children. And once you have this knowledge of what these three qualities an emotionally mature parent, you're going to feel a lot more connected to your kids. You're going to get listening a lot faster, and you're going to feel a lot calmer. Okay, so trait number one: emotionally mature parents listen first. Their first goal is to listen to their children before trying to get their children to listen to them. So I was talking to one of those mature parents. She's a graduate of our coaching program. And then when she was telling me about this circumstance that she took her daughter to the park, and then her daughter did not want to socialize. And then she said, back in the day, before I enrolled in HIC parenting, I remember feeling so overwhelmed, and not just overwhelmed, sad, thinking that if I don't teach my child to socialize, if I don't push her to socialize, then she will always depend on me. She won't have a good job. And I went there catastrophizing. I would catastrophize about my daughter not being able to socialize. But now that I understand her needs, and I know that she is an amazing neurodivergent child, sensitive child that just needs a bit of time to warm up, I listen to those needs. I lean towards them, and I just give her the time that she needs to warm up. And if she wants to play on her own, that's awesome. She could be a strong, confident leader who likes to work on her own many times. And the times that she wants to play with kids, awesome. And most of the time, she just chooses one or two preferred children to play with. And for me now, it's okay. This mother is listening to her children, to her child, to her daughter. She went from listening to her projection and fear to listening to her child. I worked with another couple that they were hard workers. They were actors from Netflix, I mean famous people, and then they have a 3-year-old son. And the time that they had with their son was limited, but it was spent in power struggles and power struggles and power struggles. And after they worked with us in coaching, they learned that that time that they were with their son was full of expectations about their son. You need to pick up your toys, you need to do this, you need to do that, this, that, when the child was starving for connection. So once they started listening to their child a lot on the forefront, once they started with connection, the reunification, once they started the reunification with connection, with I'm so happy to see you, with I want to bond with you before moving into the instruction, before moving into the routine, they started seeing a lot more cooperation from their son. They started feeling that now they can spend quality time with their son, and the night would not go being full of power struggles. They started lowering their expectations about their son because they sure were rooted on what they thought society was expecting of them as parents. By this age, for sure, he should be able to do the A, B, or C, and they were not listening to his particular needs. Now, by the way, this is a sensitive child who struggled with transitions. So they started listening to what he really needed at that time to feel safe and connected to start bedtime after not seeing them the whole day, after being with a babysitter the whole day. Bedtime started going a lot smoother, a lot faster because they were listening to their child first. So a mature parent listens to their children first before thinking about getting their children listening. So let's move on to the second one. I just drank water because drank or drunk. No, drank. I just drank water. Second language learner here. Number two, the second quality of an emotionally mature parent. They don't take their children's behaviors personally. And this is a biggie of parents that just come to get our coaching help here in HIC Parenting. That's the big thing, one of the bigger things that they change. They come taking their children's tough moments, these regulation moments, cries so personally. So, like if my child, I offer him a hug, I try to sing him a song, I ask him if he's what's wrong with him or what's wrong. I try to be accommodating, and they keep crying and they keep tantruming. What am I doing wrong? They go from that state of mind, taking their children's behaviors really personally, to fully understand that every single behavior communicates a need. So if their children are crying, it's not because they are bad parents, it's because the child has a need. And that child is communicating that need. And sometimes the need is, I need to cry on your shoulder. Sometimes that's the need, emotional release. So those are the times when children don't calm down despite our efforts to console them, because that's basically the need. They need to release that emotional weight that they had, being all day at daycare, not having their attachment figure there to pour all their emotions to, and they see you and they just want to melt in your arms. And melting in your arms is not necessarily hugging you and kissing you. It could be crying. It could be this regulation. So, emotionally mature parents understand this, and they don't take their children's behaviors personally. One mature parent that I want to highlight, she's one of our newer graduates of our coaching program. Her name is Naomi. She has 3 kids. She used to take her 3 kids' fight so personally. When she came to HIC Parenting, I remember her seeing her crying and thinking, like, what am I doing wrong? And now I see her smiling and say, hey, I feel confident when my children fight, when my children have an argument. I know that arguments are part of life. I know that conflict is part of them learning how to relate to one another. And I know exactly how to help them. When she went from, they don't stop fighting, that means I'm not doing a good job raising them to love each other. When she went from there to, I see they're having a conflict and it's a great opportunity for me to coach them, to see each other's needs, to see each other's feelings, to teach them empathy, to teach them conflict resolution, to teach them teamwork, to teach them coping strategies. I just see it as, okay, Naomi, let's get to work. This is going to be a fun, exciting ride, and I'm feeling equipped to go through it. She came to that transformation, not reading books, not watching social media content, not even listening to the Parenting with Understanding podcast. She came to that transformation after months of coaching, applying our Parenting with Understanding method of needs to look beneath behaviors, unveil needs, respond to their children with what they need, understand her own needs as a parent, taking care of her own needs, managing her own emotions. All those things are things that she learned to embody as someone who parents her children with understanding. And if you want to get there, you don't have to become a coaching client. If you do, amazing, we receive you. But if you don't, if you're like, okay, like I want to have the system, I want to understand what the system is and see if I can apply on my own, I have a class for you. This is a free class where I teach you the roadmap, the system that could, that will, yes, not that could, that will bring us so much peace to your parenting and start raising secure children. This free class, you can find it in hicparenting.com. I'm going to leave a card up here or a card on the description below. Naomi took this class and she started having transformation the first week. And then she decided to become a coaching client to help us apply the system that she learned on the free class. So I encourage you to take it. It is completely free and you can start transforming your parenting today. So the third quality of an emotionally mature parent, they don't care about others' opinions. I have a coaching client. She is a graduate. Her name is Christina. And she used to struggle so much with that because she grew up in a traditional environment and she was still living with parents when she started with us in HIC Parenting. And her parents helped her take care of her son. So Christina was kind of like in a against the wall a little bit because she didn't want to ruffle the feathers too hard because she was relying on parents to take care for her son. But this is the thing. This is the difference. Before she gained the understanding and the skills and the tools to be a secure, mature parent, she used to hear her mother-in-law and her parents talking about, hey, you should be more stern. Hey, you should maybe take this privilege away. Hey, you're kind of being too soft. Hey, your child is going to grow up to not be a good citizen. Yeah, to be a good citizen because you are not spanking him. She went from like, I wonder if they're right. I don't know. I feel insecure. And then yelling just to prove that, like, I'm still with you guys. She went from that to putting the stake on the ground and saying, hey, I know exactly what I'm doing. And then this is what I'm doing, and giving them the guidelines of how to set boundaries without yelling, how to talk to her son when her son was dysregulated so he calms down. She went from being afraid of coaching her parents to being confident on the way that she wanted to raise her children, her daughter, her son, I'm sorry, the way that she wanted to raise her son. So don't care about others' opinions. I'm very curious. Is your family on board with your parenting style? Is your family on board? If they're on board, let me know. If they're not on board, let me know in the comments below. This is how I handle things. I have a traditional Latino family, and they're not always on board when they see me doing things. And my take, the way I handle it, is that if they're willing to learn, I teach them. And sometimes my dad mostly, he's the one who wants to learn the most, and I teach him, and he takes my word. But there are some other family members, like my mom, that they don't want to learn. When it comes to them, it's not my job to change their mind. It's not even of my business what they think about my parenting. But what it is of my business is, if you're going to watch my sons, you have to agree to my guidelines on how to relate to them, even when they are not having a quote unquote good behavior. So that's how I handle it. Sometimes it has happened with my in-laws that we are in a family gathering. Let me know if you are you going to be a host of your holiday gatherings this year, or are you going to your family? So usually we go to our sister-in-law's house because she has a bigger house. And when you are going to their house, you feel a little more vulnerable because it's their space. But I want to let you know that it's still your children. My sons are my sons here and in my sister in law's house. Your children are your children here and in grandma's house, here and in auntie's house, here and in your mom's house. So take that present, take that with you. And let me know in the comments if you are going to be the host or you're going to go somewhere. So one day, one of my twins, he was 2 years old. He was, yeah, he was hitting, he was hitting. And then my sister-in-law came, and then she kind of yelled at him. And I looked at her and I said, "Hey, I handle things differently. I take care of it." I took him to the bathroom and I disciplined him the way that fits my values. So you don't have to convince them, just set the boundary and take over. That's how I handle it with my unsupported part of the family. I'm very curious. Which one of these three qualities of a mature parent do you already have? So let me recap them for you. Number one, they listen to their children before they expect their children to listen to them. Number two, they don't take their children's behaviors personally. And number three, they don't care about others' opinions about their parenting. If you found value on this podcast episode, would you share it with a friend? Share it with a friend, send it to your spouse, send it to your mom. And if the Parenting with Understanding podcast has given you insight, inspiration to become a secure parent, to raise emotionally healthy children, would you give us a positive review? Just open the description of this podcast episode and write a positive review, hopefully 5 stars, so we can get to more parents. And I want to let you know that you are an amazing parent, and it only takes understanding of yourself and of your children's needs to transform your parenting. I'll see you on the next episode.